Scrappy friends, it's Kim back from Making Creative Memories in Time, and I'm back with a little different project today. I am working on a scrap journal. This is all about me, and it's telling all these different stories about me throughout time, and things that have shaped who I am. This journal is going to include where I am in my life right now, what's important to me, how I've grown, how I've changed, and this is hopefully something that I will leave to my niece, my nephew, my great nephew, my great niece, my great nephews, and my great niece, just to help them understand who their great auntie is, or was, as she grew and changed. So this is the scrap album, scrap journal, and this is the boysenberry, and I absolutely love this. And the paper collection that I am working with is called Wildflower Wiahes, and I love this. So the particular story that I'm going to tell today is about the influence that my paternal grandmother had on me. I was born in 1969, and I'm going to guess this was probably about maybe 1972, 1973 at the latest, but I'm thinking I was maybe 2 years old. And we just lost my granny in the summer of 2021. She was just a few weeks shy of 95 years old. And just the influence that she's had on my life is unreal. Now, I will only be creating a decorative page on this side of the scrap journal. This side will be all of the journaling. This is where I'm going to tell all of the ways that she influenced and shaped who I am today. I've already got some pieces cut that I'll be using. I am also trying to stash bust while I work on this scrap journal. So I've pulled 2 burlap flowers with a little wooden center. These, I'm pretty sure, came from Hobby Lobby, Michael's, somewhere of that nature. And they're probably really old. These are just some sort of purpley, shimmery gems that probably came from Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I will be using some die-cut shapes from my stash, some wood grain die-cut shapes, and I used one of my leaf thin cuts and just cut some leaves from the darker green paper that comes with this. I have pulled some stickers from this Heidi swap that came obviously from Hobby Lobby, and these are just some stickers I'll use over in the journaling. And then I am pulling eggplant ink, and you can tell by the shape of this ink pad, it's really, really old. But I think that this eggplant ink is going to look pretty with this paper. So let's just dive in, friends. Let's just dive in. The first thing that I want to do, and I'm going to scrapbook right in this journal. I've already put my pages in, and we're going to scrapbook right on this page. But before we get to that, I want to do a little ink technique, just because this is a lighter paper, and this is looking a little purple, so hopefully I didn't test this out. I'm hoping that when I do this technique on my letters that it's going to be okay. I have been extremely tied up with my job and helping out. My aunt has had a remodel going on, and I've had to help out there, be at her house so the contractors can get in. So I am literally running a little behind on my memory keeping and creating videos for you guys. So I'm happy to be here today. So all I'm doing here, friends, this is like a paisley, a really pale lilac paisley paper, but I really want this to stand out. So if you notice on this page, I just sort of gave a hint of that color around the edge to help separate it from that white page. Now on this, I'm going a little deeper, a little darker, and the purpose behind that is to really lift this, because both of these are pastel, and I really want to lift this, but I didn't want to pull in another color. So using ink and the amount that you apply, how deep, dark, the depth of your ink can help almost mimic another paper layer. And you notice this is just a sponge, a round sponge. You can pick these up at the dollar store, Dollar Tree, and I just cut it into, like, I think this one is cut into 6. I used the round sponge and cut it in half, and then continued to cut until I had six pieces. And I'm really intentionally making this dark, and it's hard to tell until I put it next to this, okay? It's really going to be hard to tell, but I am intentionally making that dark. So now you can see it looks like there is another layer of paper, okay? So what I want to work on now is I'm going to be using these letters, these white letters, and any of this that is still available, I will link it below. Just going to use my silicone mat, and I am using just a small blending brush with the really soft bristles, and I get these from Amazon. I am going to ink up, and remember, you can always go darker, but you can't go lighter. So the reason I'm tapping off here is I want this to start light at first. You can go lighter, but you can't go darker. And we're going to see, I may want this to go darker. And the reason I start with the U is it's reversible, and either side is going to work for me, and I do think I want it darker. Isn't this pretty? I love, and I thought about different ways. I have tons of stamps that I could have used as a title, but when I thought about how I wanted to title this, I decided I just wanted to title this You, because the whole journaling and the entire story that I want to tell is how you shaped my life, how you have influenced who I am today. Look at that. That is almost spot on. And the studio light may be adding a little different shine to that, but that I'm going to be really happy with that shade right there, friends. So let's go ahead and pull these in. And the reason I love doing this ink technique on these white letters with the silicone mat, if you notice, the silicone mat grips them pretty well. And then to clean up, I just use my microfiber cloth and my spray bottle of water, and it cleans up. I've used some shimmer to color some of these alphabet before, and there's a little shimmer remaining, but it does a really good job cleaning up the ink. Let's make that just a tad bit darker. As the ink does dry and absorb into the alphabet, I may have to go back and change a little bit. Boy, is this matching that sort of plum color. What did I say this is? Eggplant? Yes, this is eggplant. Really old, close to my heart ink color. So if you have not thought about using a scrap journal, or you didn't think you would like a scrap journal because of the size, I'm going to tell you, I am absolutely loving. These used to be called Happy Albums from Creative Memories, and now we are calling them Scrap Albums. and, or not scrap albums, scrap journals. And I am loving, I've already created one layout about me, and I'll show you that when I get finished. I don't want, like, obviously to share the journaling or anything, but I will share just the photo. I'm going to lay these just off the side, and I'm going to show you how easy this is to clean, friends. I'm going to grab in. Y'all know me. If you follow me, you know I love to cut these microfiber towels in half or in quarters. This one in particular is in quarters. Now, the reason I'm moving my stickers is when I put a little water on this, it may create some overspray. I'm going to spray backwards and just show you how easy this can. Now, because this is a darker color, it's going to stain, but that's okay. Doesn't matter to me. My mats are stained. Staining is part of the creative process, friends. That does not matter to me as long as I know it's not going to come off on another project. These puppies are meant to be used. And this right here just lets me know that I have used this. I have loved this. This mat has a green stain right here, and that does not bother me at all, friends. Okay, let's just sort of lay this here so it can dry. And let's come back to and make sure I'm on the right spot here. So this is, the jeeping is on the pages, and so it's 6 3/4 wide, I believe, by 10. 6 3/4 by 10. I don't want to tell you wrong. 6 3/4 by 10. That is correct. 6 3/4 by 10. And so this is a 6 3/4 by 8. And I'm just going to sort of center this up. And these Wildflower Wiahes is like a simple page kit. It comes like with pre-designed areas to cut. And I'm not using it that way. I'm using it in whatever way I want to use it. And so I'm just sort of going to try to center that right up on the page there. And then I'm going to try to decide where I want these things. So this is a little bit longer, but it was just a scrap left that I already had left over. And I think we're going to sort of do something like this, layer right here. And then I cut a 1/4 inch piece just to go here at the top. So I need to trim all of these down to 6 3/4. So let me open up my trimmer, and we're going to go to 6 3/4. And I don't throw any of these pieces away. I put them right back in that packaging because these pieces are pieces that I had cut off from another project. And even if all I do is use them as little banner pieces, maybe that piece I will throw away because it's so itty bitty teeny tiny, but the other pieces I don't throw away. Okay, now let's go ahead and I am going to, I know it's not going to be as noticeable, but we're going to go ahead and ink just these edges. We're not going to go all the way around because this is dark and it's really not going to show up. But we're going to ink our edges so that we sort of have that blend right there. Same way on this. We're just going to ink the edges. This is dark, and it doesn't have to be inked all the way around, just our edges. So let's adhere this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to eyeball like where I think a 1/4 or what I think a 1/4 may be right there. at the end, and hopefully that's straight. Y'all know, again, if you follow me, you know I am trying to be a recovering perfectionist, right? And this is just going to overlap. I probably could have cut this so that I didn't use all of that, but it's okay. We're just going to overlap a little bit right here. Again, hopefully I'm straight. And then, same thing, we're going to come in with our sponge and we're just going to ink these two edges. Pull this little mat back in. Your adhesive does not stick to the silicone mat, and I love that. Again, we're going to go right about where 1/4 of an inch would be. I think I'm going to have to turn this around upside down, friends, so that I'm not crooked. I encourage you, if you are a memory keeper, it doesn't matter if it's one of these scrap journals. It doesn't matter if it is a 6x8 album that you have in your stash. It doesn't matter if it is a 8.5 by 11 album, a 12 by 12, a 6x6, a 4x4. Just try to tell a story about yourself. Do a little album about you. And I am going to, I think I want, let's think about where we want our photo, I think I want my flower at the top because, what do I do with my green leaves? Because if I let the leaf come down in here, you're not really going to see it. So I think I want my title. And I'm going to plan all of this out before I attach my photo. And then I can let my photo. And what's so funny is this is a picture of my gran from when she was younger than she is here. And that's my aunt and that's my daddy. Love it. I love it. I really don't want to cover that photo of my daddy. And I don't mind if this overlaps down here. I really don't want to cover that photo of my daddy. And what may happen with these leaves, friends, is it may not get used as a full sprig. And then again, it may get used as a full sprig. And what I may do is I may just like cut a couple leaves off here and tuck there. I'm loving that. I am loving that. Now this, because this has a little bit of dimension, my book is not necessarily going to lay flat. I'm going to have a little dimension in my book, and that's okay. I don't mind having dimension in my book. And when you order the pages, you get the slide-on page protectors. Okay, friends, I'm loving where we're going with this. So let's get this adhered. Let's get some adhesive on here. Oops. See, we have a little spot right there. So I am going to, again, just roughly what my eye thinks may be about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to let the top edge touch there and overlap here. Instead of trying to center on the page, I don't want to center on the page. And you know I do use repositionable adhesive. And this photo, I'm going to tell you, friends, when it comes to old vintage photos, it does not matter to me what the quality is. This is a photo of a, I can't remember if this was a Polaroid or if this was one of the old, I think this was just an old film camera. I mean, an old film, yeah, a film camera. So I'm going to use my Barely Arts liquid glue. And this is what we're going to use to adhere And it doesn't matter. You can use your, and I'm going to turn this way. You can use your adhesive if you prefer to use adhesive. So I'm going to let this line right at the bottom. Is going to go right on the edge of the mat. And then this piece is going to butt right up against that. And it doesn't matter to me that it overlaps onto that green. That does not matter to me in the least. You can use whatever your favorite adhesive is whenever you are gluing down alphabet, unless you use stickers. So you could totally use alphabet stickers if you wanted. I wanted to customize this, and I wanted a chunkier. Now, I have some white alphabet sticker. I wanted something a little bit more substantive, chunkier, larger, taller, because I want the emphasis to be on her. She is my... And then another reason why I like this glue, friends, is it dries clear, not glossy. So if you do get it somewhere, you're not going to know. Now, what I'm going to do here, friends, is I'm only going to put a dollop. I could use a glue dot, but we're going to put a pretty good dollop. And we're going to go right there because I don't want to cover that photo of my dad. And I'm going to have to hold that for just a second. Okay, now we're going to come in. If you follow me, you know when I work with little sprigs, I like what I call movement and some free flow play. And I only put adhesive near the bottom. Let's see, we may want to slide that in just a little bit. There we go. Because even when it has a paper, well, friends, that glue, I'm going to have to hold it until it's dry. It will dry, just have to hold it. And I think what I'm going to do here is, can you believe I did not have a pair of scissors out? I am going to trim off that leaf and that leaf. Well, let's just use these because I like the placement of these. And we're going to stick do I want it there? I think I like it there. Okay. And once this is dry, friends, I think I am going to, now these are really old, really old, but they still have some sticky up on them. And I love that they are sort of that, they sort of have that boysenberry kind of color, but they're a little bit shimmery, holographic-y. I love it. I'm just gonna, I don't know that I'm gonna do this. We're just gonna see. Oh yeah. We're liking that, friends. We are liking that. And then do one here. And then do one up here. And just so we have an odd number, we're going to come back in with one more. Just so we have an odd number. Because we have 3, that's 6. So let's come back in with an odd number. I love it. Now, I do think to work with this, let me pull my stickers back over. Those are going to happen on the journaling page. And I'm going to get the journaling page ready to show you what I do, but I'm not going to journal. I don't know that this is going to, we're just going to see what we got here, okay? Because I feel like I want to pull that in, and then I'm loving the idea of a heart. Like maybe... Again, I don't want to cover up my dad. I don't want to get too much happening over here. So maybe we won't use that. Maybe we'll just use the heart right there. Ooh, and there's another itty bitty heart inside the camera. Oh yes, I feel like that works with that. So let's pull this glue back out. Oh, I love it. I love it. And this would work regardless of what type of, what size or what type of album you're using. I could totally do this in a 12 by 12. It's just, this is an album dedicated to me. Now that glue is poofed out there, but remember this dries clear. This dries clear, friends. It's not going to hurt the photo. Oh, I love it. I love it. Let me share this with you. I love that, friends. And there you can have a close-up at how I colored that. And so this is just the white pre-cut alphabet. And I just used a really old, close to my heart, eggplant ink. And it worked beautifully. It matched beautifully. But if you remember, we started light and went darker so we could make it match what we needed. And then you see how inking that edge? This is a very pale, like almost mulberry paisley kind of color, and it did just such a beautiful job separating that matte from the rest of the paper. Love it. Okay, now I'm going to set this aside. I'm not going to show you my journaling, but I'm going to show you what I'm doing for my journaling page. So I am using these notebook lined paper, and I have one that's pre-cut here. It's just a leftover piece, and that's not hardly going to be long enough because I want this whole page to be... That one is not either. No, that one is shorter. So we're going to come out with a whole piece. And friends, this paper is super cheap. This paper right here is super cheap. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, I have a lot to say. So I'm going to go, you have a regular notebook line, college rule, and then your larger, okay? And I am going to go to the larger, or no, the smaller one. And I'm going to cut this at 6 3/4 because I want my whole page to be this, okay? And then we're going to go by 10. And then I'm going to show you down in the corner to make balance, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ink all the edges up on this. But down in the corner, to make balance, I'm going to put a flower. And on this one, I probably will use 2 sprigs like that, okay? And then up here, I have a stamp that I'm going to use. And I'll probably do a little bit of ink blending behind the stamp. And that stamp I use up here is going to sort of emulate a little bit of the title. It's going to be like extending the title. And the particular stamp I'm using is this one that says, "To the world, you may just be one person, but to me, you are the world." And then all of this is going to be my journal spot. And then that's where I'm going to, even though these are a little bit aged, it's going to work beautifully with that photo. And as I journal, these things that I have pulled, like this one, "Something to remember me by." My grandma used to say to me all the time, "Something to remember me by. Remember this forever. There's no place like home except grandma's." I pulled the word magical. My grandma was extremely magical, and she still is, and family is forever. And I'll work those stickers in with how I journal. So let's get this decorated real quick, get it attached, and then I will pull in a little bit of this just so we have like an arrow and some hearts, just so we have that connectivity and flow over here, friends. I love it. And then I will come back and show you real quickly my first page I did. So let's open this up, and we're just going to do the ink around the edges. And this doesn't matter if it's dark, if it's light. You can go in as deep or as little. You could actually even use your blending brush if you wanted a softer. I don't mind using a sponge edge on edges of paper, but then when I stamp, I will use the blending brush, and I'm going to use the same ink. We're just going to do a lighter version, and I may actually even drop a little ink down where my flower is going to be, or some splatter down where the flower is going to be. Now right here, friends, I'm going to turn this so I can tap off in the lid, because I know my stamp is going to happen up in here. So we're going to use the same eggplant color and drop down a light. Ooh, I've got some ink on my fingers, but that's okay. I don't know how I did that. A light little area there for my stamp. Perfect. I think we're going to drop a little down in here in the areas that you'll be able to see around that flower. See, the flower is going to sort of go here, and we're going to have a leaf coming this way, and a leaf. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Okay, now we are going to stamp. Let me grab a block that's large enough, and you know that when you stamp, you want to use some type of foam. You want to stamp into a foam. And you know what, friends? I don't think that this is a stamp I've ever used before. So we're going to season this stamp. And when you season a stamp, you are just rubbing on your hand, or you can take like your eraser and rub over this. You're just getting all of the stickiness from the stamp being manufactured off, and what that does is it is going to allow your ink to transfer much smoother and be a prettier, more finished professional stamp. Now I'm going to stand up so that I can make sure I'm straight. We're going to ink this up. Now I want to remind you that this ink pad is really old, but I want you to look how juicy it still is, right? I'm seeing a spot here that is not getting ink, and we want to make sure we get ink everywhere, so I'm going to do that little rub. Then I'm going to come back in and tap, tap. Okay, here we go, friends. Here we go. You know what I'm going to do? We're going to do a test run on this. We are going to do a test run because that's looking pretty dark right there. So we're going to do a test run. See, I knew I had something going on right there. I knew I had something going on right there. Okay. And this will dry a little bit different. It won't be as dark. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to hold that for a second and let that soak in. Oh, I love it. I love it, friends. And it will not dry. You can tell that this is already drying in a little bit, so it will not stay that dark. I mean, it will, but it will sink in a little. It'll dry in a little. But I love it because it's matchy-matchy to this. So let's go ahead and flip this over and get some adhesive. And we're going to use, because this is going to go straight to that page, we're going to use a bit more than I normally use adhesive. Now, there's a lot to tell. There is a lot to tell. And that's why I am using a full sheet of this. Now, what I'm going to do this time, my flower is stuck, but I'm not going to glue my flower this time. I'm going to use a glue dot this time because I know a glue dot is not going to take as long. Let's use 2 glue dots because I didn't necessarily get that in the center. Okay, so let's put our flower down, and then we are going to come in with our, now I'm not going to, again, I'm not going to show you the journaling. That's quite private to me. But this just shows you how it's going to be a full spread, if you will. And now we're going to pull in, I think I'm going to use this arrow and point back to her, right, to pull that in. And I think I can use this up here. And then just to keep with the hearts, I'll just pull one of these hearts and maybe right here do a heart and maybe right here do a heart. No, we got to use some gems. We got to use some gems. But let's go ahead and do this. Let's get this adhered. So I'd say if I were tweezers, where would I be? Okay, friends, we're going to have to, you all know me and my, oh, I'm pretty good. My visual impairment. Then we're just going to use this arrow to point back to her. And then right down here, we're just going to drop in. And then we'll come in with some gems. And that one can sort of tilt a little bit because I tilted those. And then let's come in with our gems. Really old gems and really old flowers. But again, I love that I am stash busting. Like, I've probably had these right here for a really long time, friends. A really long time. And then up here, let's sprinkle a couple. I think I want to do a little bit smaller. Okay. Do I want one more? Okay. And there you have it, friends. I will journal over here. Isn't that pretty? I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was off camera. Isn't that pretty? To the world, you may be just one person, but to me, you are the world. Oh, I love it. So I'm going to show you. Let me remove. There is a card that's going to go here. When I put my page protector on, there's going to be a flip flap here. So this is my first layout, and this is like a recent photo that is just where I am in life right now. And then here is the second one about my influence. So that is it, my scrappy friends. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will leave links to the scrap journal, to both paper collections if they're still available. And I would love to hear your comments. What do you think about this scrap journal? Again, each page is 6 3/4 by 10. And let me real quickly show you what the page protectors look like. I'll have to open. They are the side slide page protector. And I'm going to tell you something about these page protectors. So way back in like 2000, when I first started scrapbooking, when Ashley was born, my niece, my first niece on my side of the family, I started scrapbooking, and her permanent albums that I created way back in the day were creative memories. I've always loved creative memories for permanent albums. And they had these slide page protectors. I want you to know that her first albums from 2000 are in perfect condition. These have not aged. They've not yellowed. They have not torn. And so what happens is you just slide them on. And because I'm using a little bit of dimension, mine may be a little harder to slide on. I may have to rethink these flowers and some dimension because of that. And they just slide right on. And that is how, and then this one will go in a peekaboo pocket, which probably I'll have to cut this, just make a little slit so that that will fold right up under, because I left this area for that flower, but that's not a problem. And that'll go like in a peekaboo pocket because it's got journaling. Isn't that pretty? So anyway, there you have it, friends. That is my scrap journal and the story that I am telling at the moment. I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much, and thank you for all the love. Until this coming Thursday is going to be out mine and Nicole's 52 Sketches project. So I will see you Thursday. Happy scrapping!